Yes, yes, yes. It's the Butcher Shop. Joe Shasky here once again, friends. And subscribe, like, and love this podcast, this brand new podcast, wherever you find them, whether that's the Odyssey app, whether you're finding me on YouTube, whether you're finding me on Apple or Spotify, where you find podcasts, iHeartMedia. We're pretty much everywhere. And it's the People's Pod here in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. And I don't know if you saw this, but ESPN predicted that the Golden State Warriors would win the NBA Finals in 2025, 2026. Yeah, you're hearing that correctly. Kevin Pelton, who is kind of a statistics analytics data guy for ESPN, ran thousands of simulations, and simulation number 620 was the one he ended up writing about. Yes, you heard that right. Simulation number 620. He did thousands of them, but he plucked out number 620 as the simulation that struck with him the most. And why is that? Because your Golden State Warriors, yes, your Golden State Warriors went on to win the NBA championship in 2025, 2026. That can't be real. I mean, this guy ran thousands of simulations, and that's the one that he wanted to write about. Well, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, think about it. This is one of the most popular teams that the NBA's ever had, which is just remarkable if you've been a Warrior fan your entire life. They simulated this season using statistics, all of the data and the algorithms, and just lots of different numbers, running these numbers over and over and over again. And he chose this one because the Warriors hoisted the Larry O'Brien trophy. And I found it to be interesting. They ended up playing the Orlando Magic in this particular simulation. And this prediction doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but I found it to be fascinating that ESPN would choose the Golden State Warrior one as the one that would get the most clicks and that would be the most intriguing and the most fascinating. And along the way, they name like an NBA Cup winner. They give you even kind of what your record might be based on this simulation, almost like you would in 2K, like if you were playing a video game on Christmas Day, you know, what your record might be if it were the NBA All-Star break. And if you're wondering, you know, the Golden State Warriors aren't just good in this simulation. They're the best team in the league. They have them as the number one team at the end of the Christmas Day, being 20-7. They have them at the All-Star break as the number one team in the NBA by 4 full games, 42-13. That's what their record is projected in this simulation to be. And they've got Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler in the All-Star game. I mean, are they that far off? We'll get into it in a second. At the end of this particular simulation, they don't just have the Warriors being good. They have the Warriors being the number one seed in all the land, 63-19. That's what their projection for the record of the Golden State Warriors was based on this simulation of thousands and thousands of runs. On this one, they got the Warriors as the 1 seed. They'd have Oklahoma City as the 2 seed. Kind of a great year, 58 wins, but a little bit of a hangover, if you will. The Nuggets would be the 3 seed in this simulation. You got the Memphis Grizzlies as the 4, Clippers as the 5, Rockets as the 6, Minnesota at 7, the Portland Trailblazers at 8. Then you got the Suns, Kings, Spurs, Mavericks at 12, Lakers at 13, missing the playoffs and the play-in altogether. Pelicans and Jazz round out the Western Conference. And if you're wondering, well, who's the best team in the Eastern Conference? Well, they project it to be the Orlando Magic by a whopping 7 games. They have them at 57-25 ahead of the New York Knicks, who would be the 2 seed in this simulation. And, you know, they predict a lot of different things, and I find it quite fascinating. They've got the Utah Jazz getting the number 1 pick in the draft lottery, which is, you know, funny on a variety of levels. Danny Ainge saving them picks, finally getting the number 1 pick. But they go through all the playoffs, and they have the Warriors as the 1 seed taking on the Kings in the first round. Thunder taking on the Blazers, Rockets and the Nuggets, Clippers and the Grizzlies. And they've got the Warriors pretty much advancing, playing the Clippers. And then in the conference finals, the Western Conference Finals, Warriors OKC. And they've got the Warriors beating the OKC Thunder 4-2. 4-2. And they make the champion after beating the Orlando Magic, your Golden State Warriors. Now, look, I'm as big of a homer on the Golden State Warriors as anyone. How realistic is this? How realistic is it that Steph Curry wins his 5th championship, that Draymond Green wins his 5th championship, Joe Lacob and Steve Kerr win their 5th championship, Jimmy Butler wins his first championship. I don't know. I don't know. I look at this team today and I look at the roster and I look at the ages. And if you're just looking at how are they going to be able to get this done? You've got 37-year-old Steph Curry making $60 million this year. 36-year-old Jimmy Butler making $55 million. Draymond Green at 35 years old making $26 million. Jonathan Kuminga making $23 million this year. Moody, Hield, Horford at 39 years old. Hield's 33. Pods only making $3.5 million at 22 years old. Melton, Gary Payton II, Trace Jackson Davis, Guy Santos, Quentin Post, Seth Curry. I think you get the picture. And it's interesting. My good friend Nick Friedel sat down with Al Horford. And Al Horford, one of the senior, the wise men on this team, 39 years old. He was on a champion, the Boston Celtics, and he wanted to stay there. And in the article, based in The Athletic, our Odyssey insider, Nick Friedel, got Al Horford to pretty much admit, hey, after the Tatum injury, I didn't see them as a champion. I didn't see them as a team that could compete for the championship. He came here to win a championship. He could have easily retired. Al Horford believes this is a championship level team. I bet you Steph Curry believes this is a championship level team. And I know Draymond Green knows in his heart and in his soul this is a championship level team. But is it? I wonder. I love this team so much, but they've got clear flaws. You got 4 guys that they want to start: Draymond, Jimmy, Steph, and Horford, over the age of 35. How many games can they realistically all play together? 60? 65? Are you going to rest some of these guys for back-to-backs? What are you going to do? You going to play them all the time? You're going to split the back-to-backs? Have Steph, rest one night, Jimmy rest another? Who's in your starting lineup? Are the 4 old guys in the starting lineup? Or do we want them all to close? Or is it situation by situation? Where does Jonathan Kuminga stack up into all this? Where does Brandon Podziemski fit into this? What about Buddy Hield or Moses Moody? Is DeAnthony Melton going to be healthy? I have many more questions than I have answers today, as basically the season's a week away. But I'm really excited for this Warrior season. Now, I'm not going to come out here and tell you, like ESPN, I'm predicting that the Warriors are going to win the championship. But I'm not saying they're not. Now, for those that are just tuning in, this is The Butcher Shop. I'm Joe Shasky. You can like, subscribe, and find all of our stuff wherever you find your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, YouTube if you like. Hit subscribe. We really appreciate it, and we love your support. Getting back to ESPN, Kevin Pelton, a writer for ESPN, a statistics analytics guy, ran thousands of simulations, and he predicted in this ESPN article that the Golden State Warriors would win the NBA Finals in 2025, 2026. And I just jotted down all of the reasons, to be optimistic and to buy in, and a lot of the questions that surround this team. I just always wonder, as the journey of a season takes off, and you really do have to navigate an 82-game, 9-month schedule, and that's if you want to play into June. What are the bodies going to look like? They're already nursing some injuries right now with Moses Moody and a calf strain, and that sucks. Moses had a heck of a month right before the end of the season when they really solidified their lineup, and I thought he was a really impactful player for this team and provided some youth and some really nice shooting. He ended up hurting his thumb and his hand, and just the playoffs did not shake down the way the final month of the season did. But I believe in Moses Moody, and I think he can be a contributor. We spent the entire summer talking about Jonathan Kuminga. What is going to happen with Jonathan Kuminga? Oh, my God, is he coming back? Are they trading him? Is he taking a multi-year deal? Is he going to sign the qualifying offer? Let's put all this to bed. He's on the team, and let's support the young man. I think they're going to need Jonathan Kuminga if they want to go deep. They're going to need Moses Moody, who's 22 years old, and Jonathan Kuminga, who's 22 years old, and Brandon Podziemski, who's 22 years old. They're going to need the young guys to take steps forward. Now, maybe not all 3 will do that. I'm predicting Jonathan Kuminga has a really big year this year. And I do think that the Moses Moody injury with this calf, though frustrating, might be a silver lining. It might be a silver lining for Jonathan Kuminga. And I think it'll give him an opportunity to crack the lineup early on and maybe play a little longer than he would have if they were jam-packed at the wing like it feels like they are. Now, guys like Podziemski are going to play a lot. He's going to dribble a lot and take a lot of good shots. Could he be a candidate to be a pop through, take it to the next level type of a guy? Think Jordan Poole in 2022 when they won it all. Could one of those two guys, or maybe Moody, do that? What about Buddy Hield? Buddy Hield saved you in Game 7 against the Rockets. Buddy Hield had moments. Buddy's going to play. And if Buddy can shoot and he's hot, you got to ride that hot hand. And then I think about guys like GP2, Seth Curry, DeAnthony Melton, Trace Jackson Davis, Quentin Post, Guy Santos. They've got a lot of nice role pieces that you do need to have in these situational matchups when you get to a 7-game series. It's just navigating the 82-game season to get to the playoffs tends to be more difficult for the Warriors, at least in the last few years. But I'll tell you this, as ESPN predicts the Golden State Warriors are going to win the NBA Finals in 2025, 2026, I think I agree with them. And I know I'm a Warrior homer at times, but I'm also the harshest when it comes to the reality of what this roster does look like and the age and the injuries and the navigating of the egos. Jimmy, Dray, Steph, Kuminga's playing time, shot selection for some of the young guys, playing through mistakes, the streakiness, and maybe the jam-packed lineups that are going to make it difficult for Steve Kerr on a night-to-night basis. I believe this team can win a championship because I'm not going to bet against Steph Curry. I think he's got one banner year left in him. I do. And I'm not going to bet against Draymond, and I'm not going to bet against Jimmy Butler. And I'm certainly not going to bet against Steve Kerr, Mike Dunleavy, who's impressed me, quite frankly. I think he's done a good job as a GM. The Jimmy Butler trade changed everything. But I'm never going to bet against Joe Lacob. I know. Joe can drive us nuts. I know. You're worried he might become Jerry Jones of the NBA. But remember what the Warriors were before he became owner. He's not just a good owner. He's an all-time great owner. Now, we'll see what his resume is 10 years from now, 20 years from now. He'll have an opportunity post-Steph Curry to be able to write a new passage in that book of ownership. But for right now, I know that this band, Steph, Dray, Steve, Joe, they make sweet music. And I'm ready for one more hit album that'll go platinum before it's all said and done. So you tell me, do you believe in what ESPN's predicting here? Now, it's one simulation. Do you think the Golden State Warriors can win the NBA Finals in 2025, 2026? I do, because I ain't betting against these guys. This is The Butcher Shop. Thanks for tuning in.